Like to see it happen. It's actually, you make an interesting point about the pop star thing, because I've actually written that, and like when I think some people when they heard your music maybe expected it to be a little more on the rock side because of the classic rock stuff you've done on the show and on the tour, but I do feel there's a void in pop. Like there's, you know, we've got our Kylies and our Britneys and our Pinks and our Gagas, but there's not like a real, other than Timberlake, a lot of guys kind of going into that world in a mainstream way.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, to be honest with you, it's a real difficult journey for a recording artist right now, because you have one foot in your integrity. You like want to be an artist, and you want to do things outside of the box, and you want to experiment, and I want all that, and I feel like I did accomplish that on my album, especially with certain tracks that are not singles, you know. But then at the same time, there's a desire from me in staying power. I want to make a name for myself. I really want to make it. And Idol was like huge. It did so much for me, and now I have to take that baton and run with it. And so there is a slight business mentality that you have to have going into it, and split the difference with your artistic integrity and go, okay, well, what's going to be marketable? What's going to be a hit? What are people going to like? I want to make a name for myself. People that come off that show and don't have hit music fade out. I don't want to fade out. I want to stake my spot out, you know, and then maybe if things go well with this album, maybe the next album I get even a little bit more experimental and a little bit less, you know, hit mentality. You know, there's a reason why the female superstars and Justin are like the superstars, is because they give the people what the people want. And unfortunately, with rock music, I tried to bring as much rock into a contemporary sound as possible, because if you listen to modern radio, there's hardly any rock anymore on Top 40 radio.
True.
I mean, name the last rock song you heard on a Top 40 radio station.
Green Day, maybe?
It's tough. It's really a tough situation.
Maybe Nickelback, I don't know.
And I'm definitely not Nickelback.
No.
Definitely not Green Day. So where was I supposed to go with that, you know? I have, you know, like Music Again, which I feel like is pretty much a rock song. And I love it, and everybody else loves it, but none of the powers that be feel like it would work on radio. So see, you know, it's big business in a way. The music industry is a lot more complex than I think I even realized, you know?
Was it a struggle artistically? Because obviously you were sort of known as being, I don't know if the edgy one, but at the same time, you know, you make a record that sounds like Patrick Wolf or something, and it's not, you know, it's not going to sell, or people are going to go. I mean, was that really like an actual real struggle for you, emotionally or artistically?
No, because I realized that before we started.
Okay.
I had talks with all the biggie people that I was working with, and it was like we talked about the sound and the direction and what would work and what wouldn't. And the other thing is, you know, I have a real interest in trying to be a recording artist beyond just domestically here in the U.S. I would love the opportunity to go to Europe and to go to Australia and Asia. And that was also another part of the plan here, is that I wanted to make an album that was going to work around the world. Actually, so there's certain sounds that you need in there that go beyond the typical granola, organic American Idol sound. You know, that's why it's so, there's so much electronic influence in it, and that's why there is still rock in it.
What do you say to the people that kind of thought you were, a lot of people I think thought you were going to be like a hard rock artist. I know, I never thought that, because I was reading interviews with you where you were sort of talking about what you were planning to do and how you wanted to do a lot of electro stuff. But I think some people who only knew you from Whole Lotta Love or Slow Ride or whatever, I think a lot of people kind of thought you were going to be like the new metal guy or something.
I think the problem is that I can't go and make an album of classic rock music unless it's classic rock, which means covers.
Yeah.
Classic rock is the classic part. I think you listen to rock music now and it's like, doesn't sound like it used to, and I could go and try to recreate a bunch of classic sounding rock, but then I think it would be really derivative. Like I wanted to do something a little bit more experimental in itself. I mean, and even though there's a lot of real pop on the album, it still sonically is experimental. There's a lot of different things thrown together. Even like a track like If I Had You by Max Martin, which is very pop. It breaks down in this bridge into this amazing, almost like Van Halen 80s hair metal thing. I mean, there are moments in the album where you're like, what? Where did that come from, you know? And we really try to do that. Yeah, it's interesting. It is a business. You know, I can't just do whatever I want. You know what I mean? It doesn't. it's a business, and my job is to stay an artist within the business, but there's a lot of strings to pull, and a lot of things that I have to navigate through. And I think the big key is big picture. And if you can have some success and please certain people, each step you take, you have more control and more influence, and you can take more risks. And I guess that's kind of what my hope is that eventually I will get to a point where I can do whatever.
I think